Hello everyone. So next lecture in the series of breast is history and examination in a patient of breast lump. So this can be framed in a way that workup in a patient of breast lump that includes history and examination, investigation and the treatment. So in this lecture we will cover history and examination part. Investigation is already covered, so link for history and examination in general plus investigation of breast I'll put in the comment section. So here is the description. Now you can describe this in a flow chart that you have seen a patient of breast mass. You will do clinical assessment, ultrasound or mammography and FNC. So outcome of these can be either a benign thing, suspicious of malignancy or malignant. So when the thing is benign, either you can do excision or simply follow up. When it is malignant, surgery is the option. When it is suspicious, you can do core biopsy or excisional biopsy. Again, you can have either benign or malignant finding. Benign, again you can do excision or follow up, and for malignant you will proceed for surgery. So this is a simple flow chart you can write in the exam. Now history should include 8 points: particulars of the patient, chief complaints, history of present illness, past history, drug history, history of allergy, family history. So age is very important because carcinoma are more common in older age, that is more than 35 years of age, and if the patient is less than 35, suspect some benign disorders. In male the prevalence is only 0.5%, but the disease is very invasive when it is found in male. The socio-economic status, it is more common in higher socio-economic status patients. The geographical location is very important because it has been seen that western world is having more prevalence. So one thing can be there as that diet has a major role in this. Diet low in phytoestrogen is having high risk for breast carcinoma, and high intake of alcohol is also one thing that is associated with it. The chief complaints and history of present illness can be lump. You have to ask about the mode of onset, incidentality, whether there was history of trauma or not, which may lead to hematoma, fat necrosis, or pre-existing lump. All these terms you know by now because of previous lectures. So duration should also be asked. Long history points out towards the benign disease, and a short history usually present in malignant disorders. The rate of growth is very important because if the lump is slow growing, it usually points out towards benign condition, but when the growth is rapid, it is pointing out towards the malignant disease. The contrasting feature is atrophic squamous carcinoma. If there is pain, it can be considered as a good sign because carcinomas are usually painless. You should also ask the pain relation to the menstrual cycle because in fibroadenosis the pain increases during menstrual cycle, that is cyclical pain is there. When the pain is throbbing in nature, you should suspect abscess. When there is pain in a patient of breast lump at back, hip or shoulder, you should suspect bony metastasis. When there is nipple discharge, you should ask about the nature. So if it is blood, it may be carcinoma or duct papilloma. If it is pus, it can be breast abscess. If it is milk, it can be nectation or galactocele. If the discharge is serous or greenish, it can be ductectasia or fibroadenosis. If there is nipple retraction, you should inquire Whether it is present since long or at the puberty it has been noticed, it may be developmental. But when it is recent, it can be suspicious of carcinoma. If the retraction is circumferential, you should suspect about carcinoma. But when the retraction is slit-like, it can be due to ductectasia with periductal mastitis. Weight loss and decreased appetite are more in favor of carcinoma breast. In past history, similar complaint in the same breast suggests recurrence in opposite breast, maybe a new carcinoma or metastasis. Also, you should inquire about history of previous surgery, which also includes hysterectomy. Drug history is important because exogenous hormones like OCP or hormone replacement therapy are associated with it. Radiotherapy has plus minus risk. Chemotherapy is also associated. Personal history, diet which is high in fat is having a association with carcinoma breast. Early menarche and late menopause is associated because it increases the increased year of estrogen exposure. Nulliparous women again have high risk. Late childbirth is associated with high risk. Absent breastfeeding is associated with high risk. Obesity is associated with high risk because there is increased conversion of steroid hormone to estradiol in body fat. Now, family history is significant because when a patient is having either first or second degree relative with positive breast cancer, the patient becomes a high risk patient for breast carcinoma. Patient, if he or she is giving history of having mainly if we talk about female patient, definitely history of carcinoma in mother, grandmother or sister, definitely it increases the risk. If family history of breast carcinoma or uterine or ovarian carcinoma, definitely the increased risk is there. History related to metastasis, most common site of metastasis are bone, the lung, liver and the brain. The associated symptoms can be bone pain in bones, lung, breathlessness, cough, hemostasis. In liver, it may present with jaundice, but jaundice is quite a late sign. In brain metastasis, patient can have headache and diplopia. So examination is very important. So patient can be examined in different position. One is arm by the side of the body. When the patient is sitting, arm raised above the head, hands over hips alternating, contracting and releasing. Patient leaning forward, semi-recumbent and the lying posture. Now inspection में what you have to see is breast overall size is seen, shape, symmetry, any mass is there visible, which is the skin over the breast, that is angosed veins can be seen, any dimpling or puckering or retraction can be seen, skin involvement can be seen, which is in the form of POD orange ulceration or satellite nodules. You have to also examine nipple areola complex. You have to see shape, size, number, position, any active discharge. Also areola size, color, change or any crack should be seen. Inspection of the patient with arms raised above the head will make POD orange more evident. Also signify if there is fixity or not, and also will tell about the rotation of the nipple. Inspection on leaning forward again will tell fixity to the chest wall, because in normal patients breast falls equally on each side if it is not fixed. Inspection on contracting and releasing pectoralis major will show fixity to the muscle. Swelling becomes more prominent or not is seen in this. Palpation is very important thing. So you have to palpate the breast symmetrically from areola concentrically towards or outwards, you can say. Palpate the normal breast first, but while presenting in the history to the examiner, you have to first present the affected breast. So what you see in palpation, first you have to look for the temperature and the tenderness, local temperature I'm talking about. Also you have to examine the swelling. You have to see site, shape, size, surface, consistency, number, margins, mobility, fluctuation, fixity to skin, chest wall or the muscle. How will you check for fixity? Fixity to skin is 4B. I'll tell you the classification. Now, how will you check? Move the tumor side to side and note the change in the skin. Also, you can pinch the skin over the tumor. Fixity is because of infiltration of the skin by the tumor. Puerine orange comes under fixity of the skin. It is due to infiltration of the subdermal lymphatics by the tumor cell. Fixity to muscle, how will you check? For pectoralis major, ask the patient to place her hand on her hip, lightly move the lump in the direction of fibers first and then at the right angle as far as possible. Now ask the patient to press the hip as hard as possible. After doing this, look for the mobility now. If there is restriction of mobility, it is fixed to the muscle. Again, for serratus anterior, it is done for the swellings which are present on the outer lower quadrant. Ask the patient to push against the wall and look for the restricted mobility. Fixity to the chest wall is, you can say, simple to examine, but yeah, the swelling is fixed irrespective of the contraction of any muscle. Now, examination of nipple is also very important. You have to look for any tumor which is deep to the nipple. You have to press and see the tumor for any discharge. If the nipple is retracted, you have to press gently from the sides deep to the nipple. This will avert if the retraction is congenital or spontaneous, but in case of carcinoma, it can't be averted. Now, the examination of axillary nodes. So I have written so much, but I'll tell you the most important things. This is apical, or you can say, let us start from the beginning. This is how you look for anterior group of lymph nodes, that is pectoral. You are standing in front of the patient. This is how you look for the central group of lymph nodes. Again, in this, you are standing in front of the patient. This is how you look for apical group of lymph node. You have to extend the hand and you are sitting or standing in front of the patient. Now you will go behind the patient and look for the lateral group of lymph nodes. So this is from behind the patient. Again, for posterior or subscapular group, you again have to go behind the patient and palpate the subscapular or the posterior group of lymph nodes. So let us read it. Pectoral group of the lymph nodes, that is level 1. It is located behind the anterior axillary fold. Patient's arm is elevated and using right hand of the left side. This is not very important which hand you have to use, but you should know from anterior side you have to palpate which groups, from posterior side you have to palpate which groups. So the arm is lowered and may rest on the clinician forearm. This will relax the pectoralis minor. With the pulp of the finger, try to palpate the lymph node. The thumb of the same hand is used to push the pectoralis major backwards from the front. Now we have brachial group is again level 1. Subscapular again level 1. Central group is level 2. Apical group is level 3. It is also called as infraclavicular. There is supraclavicular group which is not included in the axillary group of lymph nodes. So in this again you have to stand behind the patient and dip the finger down behind the middle of the clavicle. Neck may be flexed on the side of, you can say, swelling or lymph node for easy palpation. Now the other way of asking the question is, how many levels of lymph node are there, or describe the levels of the lymph node. So level 1 includes the lateral lymph nodes which are lateral to the lateral border of pectoralis minor. It includes anterior, that is pectoral lymph nodes, posterior, that is subscapular, and the lateral, that is brachial lymph nodes. Level 2 is behind the pectoralis major. It includes the central, also called as rotor's nodes. Level 3 is medial to the medial border of pectoralis minor. It includes the apical, that is infraclavicular lymph nodes. Now you can also do percussion to look for the internal memory nodes, but this is not a very good idea because percussion may or may not give the findings. So examination of other breast, opposite axilla, supraclavicular fossa is very important. You should also examine other systems definitely. Cardiovascular, respiratory, abdominal, skull, pelvis and vertebra, PRPB can also be done. So there are some questions which are very frequent. I have included in the lecture because you may not find somewhere else, or it is very discrete. So I have compiled them. So what is the differential diagnosis for carcinoma breast? What is TNM staging for carcinoma breast? What is early and locally advanced breast cancer? How will you differentiate between carcinoma, fibroadenoma and fibroadenosis? Dimpling or puckering, how will you differentiate? And what condition veins over the breast are prominent? So differential diagnosis can be traumatic fat necrosis. You have seen in the previous lecture. Chronic breast sepsis, you know by now. Soft tissue sarcoma, antibioma, giant fibroadenoma, ductectasia, cystosarcoma phylloides. So TNM classification, T0, obviously you know that there is no malignancy. TIS is carcinoma in situ, which includes DCIS and LCIS. Aged disease of nipple with no palpable mass is another term you can say. T1 is tumor less than 2 centimeter in diameter. T2 is 2 to 5. T3 is more than 5. T4 is any size with extension to the chest wall or the skin. T4A is extension to chest wall but not includes pectoralis major. So if the pectoralis major is involved, it is not T4A because that is not included in the chest wall. T4B is edema, that is periodontitis, ulceration of the skin or satellite nodule, that is skin involvement. T4C is A plus B, that is 4A plus B. T4D is inflammatory carcinoma breast. Now N1 is metastasis to movable ipsilateral axillary lymph nodes. N2A is metastasis to ipsilateral axillary nodes fixed to one another or other structures. N2B is best only in clinically apparent ipsilateral internal memory nodes in absence of clinically evident axillary nodes. N3A is metastasis in ipsilateral infraclavicular lymph nodes with or without axillary lymph nodes. N3B is mets in ipsilateral internal memory nodes and axillary nodes together. N3C is metastasis in ipsilateral supraclavicular nodes with or without axillary or internal memory nodes. So if it is ipsilateral supraclavicular, it is N3C. M1 is definitely no met. M1 is distant metastasis. So early invasive cancers are 1, 2A and 2B. LABC is 3A or 3B or 3C. And 4 is, you can say, metastasis. There was one more staging which I have mentioned just for MCQs as Manchester staging, but it is not used nowadays. Now, the difference between carcinoma, fibroadenoma and fibroadenosis. On palpation in carcinoma, you can say it is easily felt with the flat of the finger, but in fibroadenoma it is felt with difficulty because it moves. That is called breast mouse. For fibroadenosis, just a sense of lumpiness can be there and you can see that there is no definite swelling. For margins, you can see carcinoma, it is having well-defined margins. In fibroadenoma, the edges are slippery. In fibroadenosis, the margins are very well-defined. For consistency, carcinoma is hard. Fibroadenoma, it is firm and encapsulated. For fibroadenosis, it is either firm or softy or diffuse Indian ovary feel. Surface in carcinoma is uneven, you know that. For fibroadenoma, it is globular, and for fibroadenosis, you may be finding multiple lobular things which are firm or soft. Now, people can ask what is tethering or dimpling. It is infiltration of Ashley Cooper's ligament which pulls the skin inwards, creating a dimple or puckering over the breast. And this tumor moves independent of the skin. That is why it is not included in the skin involvement. So it can be a question whether tethering or dimpling is skin involvement or not. You should remember only three things are included in skin involvement. One is ulceration, second is POD orange, and third is satellite nodule. Other question: prominent veins over breast, rapidly growing sarcoma, cystosarcoma phylloids, huge breast abscess. Thank you so much.